Well, at least Chael Sonnen has his head on straight when it came to analysis of Ronda Rousey.
Was this all fraudulent? Was this make-believe? Was who she was a byproduct of what people wished she was as opposed to what she really is?
The media created this sensation. This is a fantastic athlete, two-time Olympian, brought a medal home for this
but different discipline.
Absolutely, totally fantastic. What the media had done and to put her, the greatest athlete of all time and, a once-in-a-lifetime. I'm sitting back looking at her going, look, in fairness, and again, this is a personal friend, but in fairness, the sport of judo, which she came from, has zero success in MMA. She is the one and only that's ever succeeded, ever had a title, ever made it to a title fight, ever made it to contention to get into a title fight. It is not an effective art for mixed martial arts. So I'm looking at the skill set, and I'm going, look, this is tough to buy. I'm looking at what the media is saying. I'm going, we've got a real marketing gem here. Let's ride this horse into the ground. I think that it's time to mix it up. And listen, it's really nice to hear what people say about you. It's really nice to read those things. It's a big problem when you start to believe it.
I'm looking at all these reasons this guy gives for why Ronda Rousey was defeated. And, at first I was thinking he's making a lot of sense with what he's saying, because I had my reasons. I just wrote down a couple reasons. I didn't write down 7 reasons. And actually, what you find out is some of these reasons are redundant and just sort of kind of annoying. Obviously, inactivity was one of them. He mentions here lack of boxing skills, which is one of the huge ones. Okay, I was thinking this. I wasn't really thinking the inactivity was part of it. I mean, honestly, that's a very small factor. I think the lack of boxing skills was one of the main ones, but the biggest one, I think, was this. Not that she's mentally weak. I think that's a wrong way to frame it. I think that she, her head is not in the game. It's kind of like when Spider Silva was defeated. He just never could get back in it because his head was not in it. Once you're on, once you have that gravy train of wins, it's like you feel like you're unbeatable. And then once you get defeated, you have to somehow bring yourself out of that place and put yourself back into that winning mindset. And very few people can do that, is kind of my theory on it. You have people like Nate Diaz and others that obviously have that mindset all the time. But some people just don't have that mindset. And of course, Conor McGregor also has shown that he has that mindset. He came back and wanted to fight Nate right away. We saw with Ronda Rousey that she was not already half not in it before she even started, by saying that she thought that was her potentially her last fight before she even got in the ring. Which, I mean, that's almost as if you have a defeatist attitude right up front. And with the caliber of fighters in the UFC now, you can't have that mindset. If your mind is not in it, you're going to lose. So I think this is the biggest factor right here. I think that not that she was mentally weak, but that she just still was defeated in her own mind and somehow couldn't get herself into the right mindset. And, also with the fact that she's doing movies and stuff, she's kind of got herself into 2 places at the same time. Which kind of rings back to the first point where he's trying to say she's not in shape. I think it's more so a mindset. If your mind is not all in it, and if you're not all in it, and if your mind is not all into this place of winning, and that you have that winning mindset, it's very difficult to come back. And then, of course, I think one of the biggest ones with number 2, I don't think that was properly framed on this video either exactly. If I can find it again here. All right, here we go. Lack of boxing skills, right? It's more so not just that. I was thinking more so it was along the lines of her trainer, okay? Her trainer just put some sort of false confidence in her regarding her boxing skills. And from what, her mother said, it sounded like the guy he kind of treated her as second class in the first place. He had some sort of issues himself, and he wasn't a good trainer. So, I think it was some sort of false confidence in her boxing, not having a good trainer. And I think it was also not being full in and not having her mind in a winning place. That's why she lost, and having the wrong game plan because of this false confidence with her trainers. This wrong approach, thinking she could somehow stand with Amanda Nunes, was just not, totally the wrong game plan. And maybe, and he mentions here maybe she had this sort of false confidence, or what was it he said? He mentioned confidence, and I think he might be referring to the fact that she might have lacked overall confidence, but also had sort of a false confidence, in her own boxing skills, but also an overall lack of confidence in just herself and not being fully in it, and her mind not being in the right place. I don't think, a lot of people look at it like, oh, she lost so terribly. I really don't look at it that way, because a lot of people are looking at it very superficial. They're looking very superficial at these fights. It's like when Anderson Silva came out and just plowed over, certain fighters and just made it look like it was the easiest thing in the world. That's what Amanda Nunes, in a sense, looked like what she did with Ronda Rousey. But, I always knew that Spider Silva would be, eventually he would get his ass kicked and then he would just keep losing. I was thinking that would happen to him eventually. And it did. Because it's all a mindset. He comes out there and he dominates because of his mindset. And, whether or not you have the skill, if your mind is not in it, you're going to lose. So I think with Ronda Rousey, I think she's still a great fighter. The whole problem is she just needs to get her mind in it, and then she has to have the right trainers and have the right game plan. I think she could come back, but she would have to somehow grow into this character she wants to be, this person that can really stick her mind in the right place, a winning mindset. And of course, if she does it, she has to really want it. Okay, and that's another thing. Does she really want it? Is she wanting to have this new life of movies and such? Sort of go off from the UFC and go into other things? Or is she going to have to really get herself into this place of wanting to win? Is it in her? Does she really want it anymore? And if she really does want it, I think she could pull it off. I think even Spider Silva could pull it off if he just got his mind into the right place. And I used to completely dislike Spider Silva. I really didn't like him. I wanted him to lose so badly when he was winning over and over, because I didn't like his personality. But Ronda Rousey, I never really was against her. I always thought she was kind of an interesting person. I liked the fact she was sort of anti-feminist and stuff. And I don't like Conor McGregor, to be honest. And I'm hoping he eventually loses. I know a lot of people love him, but I'm starting to like him a little bit more now. I used to really dislike him, but I'm kind of like, he's an okay guy now. I don't think too bad about him now, but I mean, I used to be very much against Conor McGregor, but I think he's kind of, the fact that he lost, and it's sort of like he changed a little bit with his loss and kind of came back better. So I don't think so bad about him now, but this is sort of armchair analysis, but it's easy to, hindsight is 20/20. It's easy to look back and kind of see the mistakes and such. Some of the commentary on Ronda Rousey, it's just retarded. I mean, there's some really bad commentary. They believed in her and she's such a loser. No, not even remotely correct. I mean, it's like this is how people are. They're so stupid. Some of these people that analyze MMA are just complete idiots. The fact is, she was really winning a lot of fights and just dominating and just destroying some of her competition. Because she took judo, which is not something anybody's ever really had success with in the UFC other than her. There's a couple others that have had some success, but they've never gotten to where she was with judo. And I don't think she's a one-trick pony either. I think she just really dominated with submissions and judo and such. And she was able to usually bang it out with a lot of the women fighters, but this, obviously, Amanda Nunes is on another level when it comes to boxing. So, if Ronda Rousey wants to come back, she has to be all in. She has to fully believe in herself. She has to take a different game plan and have different trainers. And I'm thinking to myself, she definitely needs to work on her boxing with someone who seriously knows what the hell they're doing. But on top of that, not take the approach of trying to bang it out with anybody like Amanda Nunes, but just get very confident and very good with her defense, and somehow train with someone who has the caliber of Amanda Nunes. She needs a training partner that has that type of power, and somehow be able to, and somebody of the same stature, that punches similar, same type of movements and such. She needs that, and needs to be able to train with. And of course, if she really believes in herself, she really wants it, I think she can come back and beat her. And I don't like what Amanda Nunes said. She's already got that cocky thing going a little bit, like, oh, she's not coming back. And of course, you expect that kind of with competitors. A lot of competitors, when they win, they tend to be a little bit dickish, They're kind of dicks, you know what I mean? But I still respect Amanda because it wasn't that bad. She was just a little bit like that. She wasn't a lot. Some are just total dicks when they win. But she was okay, and I think she deserves the fact. She's obviously a great fighter, but you know, I'm just kind of saying my opinion because there's a lot of people saying their opinion, and some of the people saying their opinion are just complete idiots, trying to say that like trying to take away all that Ronda Rousey's done. I'm not exactly a fan of Ronda Rousey, but you can't take away what she did, and to pretend like, oh, we were all fooled by her. If you were fooled by her, that means you just suck at analysis, and that means a lot of people because there's a lot of people saying stuff like that, and it makes you. And all it does is discredit you. It doesn't discredit Ronda Rousey that you say that about her. It discredits you for having such terrible analysis and thinking somehow you were deceived. Considering you're, allegedly someone who knows a lot about MMA. I'm just some dude that watches MMA. And I don't look at it that way. So if you're a person who analyzes MMA all the time and you're thinking that way, that means it discredits you. It makes me look better than you. And I don't know anything hardly about MMA. So, you know what I mean? That's how I say it. People who comment like that, like, oh, we were deceived by her. She's not a good fighter. No, you're just bad at an analysis. That's what it is. She's obviously a great fighter. She needs to definitely work on certain things. That's for sure.